Hey Maya, Professor Johnson here. Love that you went beyond the template. I love that already. I love that just jumping in. That this coat is just covered in texture. It's really similar to what we saw with our artist, right? That used all the stuffed animals. So okay, so let's dive in. All right, so. Um, Implied but not real, right? So this image of Mary Poppins, right? It looks like she has layers upon layers upon layers, and I can tell that her, necklace. I mean, sorry, her bow and her ruffles. They're an optical illusion, right? They're an optical illusion. Same thing with with the hat that you have here, and in the images of these ladies, these maidservants. I love that you pulled in images that we didn't just cover in the lecture. So moving forward, it's like, right, with real texture that can be felt physically. I love fur. I love velvet as well. So you don't even know that you have gotten two of my favorite things in here. Actually, sorry, suede and fur in my earth tone colors too. So these were great choices for picking an apparel item that has a real texture that can be felt physically. And then taking Psyche, right, from Cuba, taking something from the Louvre, right? That artwork that does now. Let's be clear, they won't let you touch it when you go to the museum. They won't let you touch it, but it does have, an implied texture of a feather, but actual real texture that could be felt physically. If you could touch it, you could feel the ridges that's in this item, and then something that has real and applied texture, right? So there's this optical illusion here, but then we can see that these are textured garments from Gucci. Okay, moving on to something, you got it all in one line, right? You got something bumpy because you picked this pearl encrusted. Um, I'm gonna say it's a full dress worn by Lupita. Something smooth, something soft, and I love that you picked something scaly that wasn't just actually scales, right? It has the image of being scaly without it actually being a scaled garment. So I love that you were able um, to make those connections and that you have your sources in here as well. I love it. I love the visual presentation. I love that you moved beyond the template that I gave you and made it your own. So great, great job. Zero. Okay. Hey, Marisol. You started off with the textured on your on the front image, so I appreciate you changing that image. Wow, I love this. Right. So the question was, pick an artwork or an apparel item with texture that's real but not implied. And um, it's interesting. I never thought of it in this way. That's why I love these assignments because you guys give me so um, new ways of thinking at the question that I've asked. And the smoothness of water, right? That this is a mirror image, right? That it's almost like glass. I can't imagine what it is to touch. So the texture of smoothness is implied. Okay, and moving forward to your actual image that was on front. Yes, a leaf, right? It's an actual. This actual has a lot of texture, and it's this visual. I can almost, and it's funny because my nails are about that color. I could almost, like in my hand, by looking at this image, imagine, if I close my eyes, imagine what this would feel like. So, like what you said, being able to feel the veins of the leaf. So that was a good choice on that image as well, right? Ah, a combination of real and applied texture. So we did talk about Van Gogh in class. I appreciate that you got a different image of Van Gogh, right? But we did talk about Van Gogh in class, that you can, in this period of his life, is this period of his artistic work, that he really wanted to show the brushstrokes. And although if we go to see this real image, we can't actually touch it, but it has the texture, right? Because he was purposeful in showing the brushstrokes in everything that he did. So, and it does have a lot of color and light. So moving forward, I wanted something that was scaly and bumpy and soft. It's interesting because this is a fashion class, but you use all art images. So I that's a new take on it too, right? I did say artwork or an apparel item. Well, actually I said artwork and apparel item. So let's be clear. Let's fix that. I said artwork and apparel item, but you only picked artwork. So you're going to suffer a little bit of consequences from that. It'll affect your grade slightly, but your choices were great, right? So this is, I'm going to say this is just, cracked earth, right? It's scaly. Again, this image is very soft, as well. And you did use some sources, but remember, look, I said artwork and an apparel item. So keep in mind, make sure you take note of the instructions, because you only did half of it by not doing the apparel piece. So next time, get all the instructions in there, okay? Hey, Cindy. Okay, let's dive in. So, all right. So first of all, I see that you didn't use the template that I provided, and there was a reason that I wanted you to use the template, because I wanted some consistency, but I also it was also your opportunity in the instructions I gave you to be a little creative. So whenever your instructor gives you a template, use the template, right? There's a reason that they're giving it to you. So, so I do see that you also sent me a message that you were having trouble with the template. So I remember that now. So next time, just try to use a template next time. Okay. All right. So an artwork that has real or applied texture that can be physically felt. You're right. Like, I feel like I can feel his fur. That real or implied that cannot be physically felt. It's interesting. You took these first three images kind of all from magazines. It would have been interesting to see you take, I don't know, I say not for just from the cover of magazines, but it would be interesting to see what the inside of these magazines look like. And when I say that, how these pictures were editorialized, right? So that would have been an interesting take on it too, to see some more editorial images instead of just the covers of these magazines. So yes, with this, this is an object that we could feel physically. I feel like it would have I don't want to say a smooth, like a cement-like texture. That's probably the best way to say it. I'm not sure exactly what it's made out of. And that's why the template was important, because I also was asking for you to give some explanation of how you got, why you selected these images. So, so that would have been helpful to be included. Actually, that's needed to be included. Things with implied texture, right? So yes, I showed this image in in the PowerPoint presentation, right? So a furry teacup, right? It's a combination of implied and real texture, and it would have been interesting to see your take on this. I see the implied texture. I don't know what real texture I actually see in that. So it'd be interesting to, if you had done the template, to see what your take is on that. And then I see what you did here with the something bumpy and smooth and soft and scaly. But again, the commentary that went with it is really important. So it's really important that you include that piece as well. Okay. All right. So going forward with the next, because we still have 2 more aesthetic experiences going forward, you and I probably need to meet to talk about how we can make PowerPoint work for you. Okay. Because I remember you sent me an email that said that you were having issues with PowerPoint, how to make PowerPoint work for you. Okay. All right. See ya. Well, hey Daisy. Thank you for getting your assignment turned in well before the due date. I appreciate that. So I know you weren't rushing to get it done last minute, so I'm excited to look at it. Okay, so number 1, I see you used you took the template that I gave you and spruced it up, made it your own. I love it, appreciate it. Wow, these images are great. So this cartoon handbag, I completely love it. That it looks like it's a 2-dimensional bag. Like it really looks like this is a cartoon just drawn onto this woman's shoulder. So I love that you selected that image and that you selected Monet, right? Monet, much like Van Gogh, who we talked about in the lecture, was known for the ability, the fact that he wanted you to see his brushstrokes, right? So there is a texture that we know exists in this image, and it's not real. It is implied. So moving forward, items that had real texture that could be felt physically. I love that you picked a waffle ribbed dress, right? I feel like I can reach out on through the screen and touch it. And then again, our good friend Van Gogh, although we could not actually touch this when we go to the museum that's in, we can't actually touch it. It is something that his brushstrokes do have physical texture. We can tell that the image is jumping up off of the canvas, or in this image off the paper. Moving forward, combination of real and implied. Okay, you can never go wrong with Iris Van Herpen. We talked about her in class. I love that you picked an image that we did not use, right? So hopefully you dug into, I love her so much because she's so experimental and forward in her fashion. Is really art, more than wearable art, more than anything else. So I love that you picked an image that has real and implied texture, right? So by looking at it, it almost feels like she's being trailed by water, right? Like so it was like a splash of water that is trailing her. So I love that you have the real and implied texture. And then Sally West. I don't know who Sally West is. So that's a new artist for me. So thank you for introducing me to somebody new. But right, it's almost like you can feel the water moving in here. So there is the real and implied texture here. Okay, all right. Listen, you picked Iris. You picked Iris for everything. You picked something for bumpy and smooth and soft and scaly, and they're all amazing in their own right. So I appreciate that you I don't want to say she's your muse, but maybe she's your muse too. Oh, and then you went even further. That's even better. You went even further.